Alrighty, a quick recap of the session in ES as well as the stocks in play we're going to be looking at come Monday and a game plan for Monday's session as well. Let's go ahead and look at the context of how today's session unfolded. Essentially, we come into today's session, we come into regular trading hours looking for a reaction versus this 4,400 level. Now, initially, we were going to be looking at the 4380. That was a level of interest throughout the week. Break higher up through the 4380 during the overnight session, during the pre-market session, make a new overnight high, and we start to open up around this 4400. Essentially, because 4400 is pretty much mid-range here, mid in the middle of this 3-session range, we're just going to be using that 4,400 as our near-term pivot level. And so personally, I was looking for longs so long as 4,400 was holding, trading longs ahead of 10 a.m. primarily. After 10 a.m., we have that data that comes out. 4,400 is pretty swiftly rejected. From there, the focus becomes strictly on short plays until one of our downside levels of interest is tested. So you can see the setup here, 4,400 rejected into 10 a.m. You have a little bit of interest here near that 85 level, that 43.85, which was a little unusual, but ultimately I was looking again for 43.80 and then down into last week's high or prior day low, kind of overlapping there, down into the 43.58. We did get a nice bounce from there. Take a look at this, about a 23-point bounce, just shy of the 43.80 yet again, which rolled over, made fresh session lows, and hit our final downside level of interest for the session into 43.35, a few points shy of that one, about 5 points. Now that gave us the full 1 ATR move for the session. From there, pretty much just consolidating, just chopping around that 43.55. That's definitely going to be a key level of interest on Monday. I'll primarily be looking at the reaction versus that 43.55, depending on, what kind of Sunday night action we have, what kind of Monday morning action we have ahead of the bell. Pretty much want to see if buyers are going to continue to defend last week's high right through here, right through this 43.55. And so when we back out to the weekly chart, get a good sense of the setup here. You have a hammer from last week that showed follow through this week. A lot of distribution towards the early and mid portion of the week, which ultimately resolved lower, and now we're kind of back in this area. Right, so there's most likely, if we go ahead and flip this to the hourly chart, kind of zoom out on all this recent action, get a sense of, okay, where's all the volume taking place? Right through here, right? Check the high volume nodes. 43.25, 43.65 area. So these are going to be big levels of interest into next week that we'll be looking at. Early Monday, again, I'll be focused on that 43.55. If weakness continues, we're looking at that 43.20. If they hold it, if buyers hold it, we know what levels we're looking at, 4,400, 44.20. Bears were successful in defending this gap, which was a key watch for this week. Tested it once, tested it twice, 3 times. That's about it. Rolls over from there. So that was a key area for bears to defend. They were successful in that. Now it's just kind of a watch to see what kind of low we develop through here. I do still maintain, and I do still think that the low from early October was the seasonal low. I don't really expect us to undercut that. It is, of course, possible. I don't have a crystal ball or anything like that, but that's just the expectation that I'm currently working with regarding seasonality and regarding the current setup at play. So heavy earnings next week, heavy Fed speak as well, likely going to have a big impact on the index. One thing I did note when I was going through the scans this afternoon was that a lot of the individual names are looking pretty beat up. So you'll see that in the breadth readings as well. A lot of the individual names are just looking terrible, trading down near 52-week lows or just in a consistent downtrend. For the market to really show some good continuation, we need more participation, right? The Magnificent Seven or FANG or whatever you want to call that group of big market cap or mega cap stocks can carry things pretty nicely, but ideally we have broad participation in any rally. And so until we see that, likely going to be, some two-way trading. Definitely not the easiest conditions to be trading in, of course. Now on NQ, we did mark off that trend line from yesterday, talked about it yesterday in the end of day. There it is. The end of day recap. Mentioned that, need to keep a key eye on that. If you're feeling bullish, if you're thinking there's a continued buy, you need this trend line to break to the upside. It's rejected, right? It's definitely rejected. So NQ has key support down into here. We'll see if NQ continues to trade into the apex of this, or if big earnings, we're into earnings season now, if Apple or a big mega cap stock like that can help NQ break out. That is going to have, obviously a big impact on the broader index and as well as more of the smaller stocks as well. So something we'll be watching this coming earnings season, which is pretty much kicked off today with the banks. As far as individual names, what I'm looking at on Monday is JPM. Second day trade. Today, we pretty much nailed it. It was a long above 147, going for 148.5, 150, and 153. So we opened a bit above the trigger, and it pretty much is just a massive opening drive trade. So you pretty much have to be in right off the open, pure momentum play. Can potentially be long through pre-market high. You go for upside targets 150, 153. Now, obviously, it's sold off into the close. So what I want to see here is pretty much how this value area, volume point of control, is going to be treated. 148, 149 area, if the 50 MA can hold or not. We'll be looking at that Monday morning. Today's session, a little ugly. I'd prefer to see, we do have a high volume node near the lows here. It is about to make a fresh session low. Would prefer to see the volume point of control down here. Give us a bit of an easier setup, but we'll go ahead and reanalyze that one Monday morning. Take it from there. As far as right now, daily bar definitely says it's a short. Go for the potential gap fill. So we'll be looking at that. That's JPM. Then we have Uber. Daily breakdown. Look at the good volume today. So we're looking for follow through, a break of support. Essentially follow through down through today's low. Big volume void below, right? We could test 41, 42 area down into 40. So just looking for continuation of today's move and a breakdown of this pattern of this area of support. You can see once again, big volume void all through here. Those tend to fill quickly. So that's it for individual names. Like I said, there are a ton of ugly charts out there. Setups that are just untradeable. We had a couple of swing trades that just did not materialize into anything. Not really a swing trading environment, not really an environment for overnight holding. This continues to be an active trader's market. And so stay nimble, right? Keep your levels of interest on watch. Expect two-way trading. Here and there we'll get nice burst trend day moves like we saw earlier this week. Monday and Tuesday were outstanding. Just take it one day at a time as the setup unfolds. So let's see. Any questions, sir? Let me make sure my chat is working. All good? Sweet. All right. Well, have a great weekend. Hope you had a great day, and I will see you guys Monday morning. Take care.